When they play, normally they play in free, and they're not bottling up emotions. And my coaches are not bottling up emotions. So it's a matter of just talking. And sometimes people don't want to talk right now. And that's okay. Okay, so just go over there and have it out your own. And when you want to talk, come see one of us. So that's one of the main ways that we handle it, for sure. Any other questions?
Varsity level or high school level, okay. And that's very useful in that regard. But given our circumstances where we're probably with our kids, for example, we have a big tournament coming up, we probably spend a couple of months prepping with them, then they have a couple of months off because they go in the summer. We're pretty much, it's more of like a tournament to tournament that we're with these kids. So we're like maybe 3 months at a time, then we're off a couple of months. So how would you recommend to convey these ideas to them or try to incorporate it with what we've got going on, given our circumstances?
Okay. Are you guys limited with how much time you spend with them every week?
I would think that probably most chapters or most teams are probably spending 1 or 2 practices a week with their kids, a couple of hours at a time. So we're very limited.
Practice is important.
Exactly, exactly. And I think these ideas are tremendously beneficial, but how can we incorporate it given our circumstances? Okay. Is there a way to make it happen?
Probably meeting before practice or after. You got to work it out. I know that the parents are bringing them to practice, and they probably got to go or drop them off. But I would try to do it consistently. How many times a week you make practice? Once. Okay. If you could spend 30 minutes to 45 minutes before practice and just talking about some of the ideas, or after practice, and just make it consistent. That way they know it's not just practice we're doing, you know. We're talking about whether it be some issues or how to make this team a better team. We have time to talk about it, you know. And that's what I would do. I would just try to meet before or after, knowing that's a part of our time together, 30 minutes. So parents, could you please bring the kids 30 minutes early for the next 2 months, you know, or find out from the team, is it better to stay 30 minutes later, you know, because you probably have time on the gym floor, you got to get in and out, right? Yeah. Now I said we've lost, you know, 5 or 6 games over the past 10 years each year, you know, max, and I know one thing that we do after games. After we win games, you know, the atmosphere is beautiful. Everybody happy. They're all having fun. Let's go eat. And we eat together. You know, that's one of the things we do in our bonding. We're always, before and after games, I don't care, we win or lose, we're together. Okay. And when we win, we talk about the good things. And I would say, and I know our society is a little different on this, but I would say give people, your players, their props, build them up when you can, where you can. You know, coaches, some of them say, well, I don't want to say that because they're going to get a big head. Well, you don't give them a big head, they'll get it from somebody else, you know. So I try to let my players know, when they do something good, I let everybody on the team know how much I appreciate what they did. When they didn't score but 4 points, but grabbed 15 rebounds, you know, had 3 block shots. I'm praising the rebounds and the block shots in front of everybody. You know, I'm letting everybody know that defense wins ball games, and rebounds will ignite our break. You know, so I try to praise them in just about everything they do, especially when we're winning. Now, when you lose, it's a different story, because the atmosphere changes. Now you got to search and find some things. You know, and it's not always easy. But it should be, because there's always some good things being done in a basketball game, even when you lose, you know. And so I make sure we talk about the good things they've done, and then I'll talk about some of the things that we didn't do too well, and I let them talk about the things we didn't do too well when we lose. Every game we've lost, we'll talk about it afterwards just a little bit. But the next day before we practice, if it's not a tournament, man, we sit in the middle for about 45 minutes while we're stretching and talking about what happened in this basketball game and why didn't some things go right. And it's not a scream holler situation. It's just a talk. And you always get people saying, you know what, if I just would have done this better, I could have helped you accomplish your goal, you know. So we always sit down the next day if it's not a tournament and just talk about our losses. And I let them do more of the talking than I do. Because they can point out a lot of things that happen in the basketball court and better than I can sometimes. Now, I know, and you mentioned you guys have a lot of the youth, the younger kids. I know what I do, and I started this about 13 years ago. When we ride in the vans together, no iPods, no cell phones. I collect them when you walk in the van, I collect them all. You know, and everybody's like, oh man, what am I gonna do? I need my phone. And see, when we're in the van together, or the bus, whatever it may take, whatever we're taking, that's our time to be together again. And if you're on the phone, I don't care if you're with mom, if you're on the phone, you're isolating yourself and you're having a conversation outside of the van with someone that no one else can have a conversation with. And so I make them talk to each other in the vans. You know, there's no laptops. You don't get to watch videos unless I put it in. It's going to be a basketball game or a highlight film. You know, but we are forced to talk to each other when we travel. So there's no iPods, no cell phones. I collect them. I let all the parents know at the beginning, hey, I got your phone. Here's my number. If you got to get a hold of them, call me. You know, and I've had every team I've had, especially when we go on tournaments, they forget about those cell phones after a while. You know, and I've had just about every team tell me, Coach, thank you so much for relieving me of that stress of having to call somebody back every time my phone rang. You know, and so when we're in our vans, we're traveling together, I take all the phones and the iPods. If we're having a long trip, like we're going to San Jose, I'll take it for the first 2 hours. And I'll give them the iPod back. I keep the phone though, but I get the iPod back after 2 hours of traveling so they can listen to what they want. And normally, within an hour, the iPod is off. You know, and they're just in the van either sleeping or talking among themselves. And that helps to build our bonding on our basketball team tremendously. We eat together, whether it be before or after games. And here's where I give my team their say-so. They can pick where we get to eat. You know, they can pick the type of food they want to eat, and we'll just eat. We're all going to eat together. And if you don't like that food, find something in that restaurant today, and tomorrow we'll go to another one. But I give them the control over where we're going to eat sometimes. I pick the hotels, folks. It's got to be a nice hotel, you know. And so we always stay in the Embassy Suites or Marriott. That's it, period. They don't have a say-so on that. And one of the reasons is, for sure, the Embassy Suite, I need to have a place where we have breakfast in the hotel in the morning. I don't need to be traveling in the morning. So we always go to Embassy Suites when we can because they have to be down there at a certain time and we eat breakfast together. You know, if you don't eat breakfast, too bad. Come down and watch us eat. But we have to be together, you know, when we have our meals. Another thing we do, if you have time, we do individual work. And when you work out with your team individually, again, you spend an extra time with them, and then they're thinking, uh-oh, coach cares about me. If they care about me enough to spend this much time with me on my dribbling, my shooting, my defense, I got to do what they want me to do on the basketball court. So when you ask them to do something, they feel obligated, you know, which they shouldn't, but they just feel like, hey, they've invested this kind of time in me, so let me give it back to them. And so we're always spending 3 days a week, either before practice or after practice, just working out with somebody, you know, on our basketball team. Don't just tell them, but show them what you want on the basketball court. You know, you go through some drills, whether it be defense, and Coach talked about taking away the middle. If you just tell your players, take away the middle, they're like, so what does that mean? You know, 5 minutes? Beautiful. What does that mean? It means nothing until you tell them. Show them how to do it. You've got to tell them, and you have to show them. Once you show them, now they can be held accountable for it. And so every young lady that comes into our program, I show them everything I want them to do, like they never knew, like they don't know how to do it, first of all. Now when I start to raise my voice, it's because I've already showed you, and you know how to do it. You're just forgetting now, you know. And so you got to show them what you want. Don't just tell them. You got to show them. I give them ownership in our basketball team, and I let them express their concerns about my offense that I put together, my defense. What adjustments do you want me to make on my offense? Because once I let them have their say-so in it, now it becomes their offense, their defense. Now they're going to buy into it, and they'll be more apt to do it that way when I allow them to have some pointers on how to do this. You know, even that transition drill, I want them to run out with their left hand, and they may say, Coach, if I stop here and give a pivot like this, it's better for them. I said, that's great, you know. But if that's going to help you to do it correctly, I have no problem with that. But I have to allow them to give me input on everything just about everything I do on the court, so they'll buy into it and they take ownership on it. Once your players take ownership, you can do like Phil Jackson and just sit. And every now and then you can get up, stand up and get upset and call a timeout. But even when I call a timeout, I give them about 15 seconds to talk among themselves, to find a solution to something that may be going wrong on the court. Or I'll let them, hey, this is my appreciation timeout. You guys are doing so well, just have a seat. And they'll just talk about how to enhance something that's going on in the basketball court. And when I come to the huddle, half the time I'm asking them, so what do you want to do? Which play do you guys want to run? What do you see on the basketball court? Because if you're always telling them what to do, you know, I don't think they get that freedom of taking ownership and how to run that basketball team and how to make decisions. You can't always make decisions for them on the court. You got to give them the freedom to make their own decision. And when I do that in practice, it's easier for me to do it in the basketball game. I've had some crucial times in games where I would come to them, I say, we're down by 2, folks, a minute ago. What defense are we going to run? And they'll tell me they want to run a trapping defense. And I go, whoa, we haven't done the whole game. But coach, don't worry, we're going to get it done. I go, for real? And lo and behold, they get it done. But when I can ask them a question about what to do, that means they're in tune with what's going on in the basketball game. One more thing, and I know I'm just about out of time. Although we won quite a few basketball games at Pasadena City College, we've been one of the most successful teams in the state for junior college. I tell my team, I tell my staff, I tell myself, it's beyond wins. You know, our worth is not about our wins. It's about making some young ladies, in my case, some young ladies, productive people in society. We graduate maybe 88% of the young ladies that play for us over the past 12 years. We just get them out. You got to get them out. We have to. Because if I don't get them out, then you won't send me your daughter because I'm not transferring or graduating them. So I make sure they're getting out. But we make sure that they're growing and being well-rounded from a basketball player to a better human being, to being productive in society, and having an understanding of having respect for people.